Hello and welcome. Today it is April 22nd, Wednesday. I hope you're doing well and staying safe out there wherever you may be. Today on the live stream, we'll be streaming our image data that we've been looking at from Google Cloud Storage into BigQuery. Hello and welcome to Adventures with Yufeng, where we explore new and interesting concepts, tools, and ideas live from my webcam to your screen. My name is Yufeng, and today we're going to use our Google Cloud Storage images and have those images showing up and uploading straight to Cloud Storage and then triggering to cause PubSub to then push that signal into a BigQuery table, which will allow us to eventually use that to kind of select what images we want and do further training and other analysis on it. So to start with, I want to point out that before this, since the last stream, I had a chance to Okay, I think the stream is up again. Let me know if you're starting to see things. That'd be good. And yeah, I think we're back on again. Apologies for the delay there. And let's see. Yeah, I think our stream is healthy. So with that, let's go on. I'm not sure exactly where we left off, so I'll recap briefly here. Today we're going to try to get images into our Google Cloud Storage bucket and have it, as images drop in, fire off a PubSub signal that will then get reflected in a BigQuery table. And so let's switch over to the code view, my desktop here, and I'll write out a little bit of kind of the thoughts here. And we're going to be kind of mid-doc because I was kind of going through sketching out some of these are my like kubectl controls and stuff that I was using, but here we'll put some ideas around PubSub. Oh, I already wrote PubSub down there. Let's just go from there. All right, so with PubSub, what we want to do today is have an image uploads into GCS bucket. Then we want that image GCS to trigger a signal, or a PubSub topic specifically is what it's referred to as. And then we want to take that topic and have it pushed into BigQuery. Now, how we're going to get it into BigQuery is we're going to use Cloud Data Flow. Now, normally data flow can be a little bit tricky to work with if you're coding it from scratch. It really, hey, Gabe is waving hello. Good to see you, Gabe. Thanks for joining. And data flow can be a little bit tricky to work with from scratch, right? And what's nice though is that BigQuery has PubSub has written up a bunch of pre-built connectors. Let me see if I can find it. I seem to have lost that tab somewhere. But basically there's a bunch of pre-built connectors that we should be able to just use out of the box, and then we don't have to kind of get into too much of the nitty-gritty, and we'll be able to move on to kind of looking at how we configure things and make this kind of all work. So we'll need to set up our BigQuery tables in advance, of course. Then we want BigQuery to show the, reflects the list of images that are uploaded. So to recap folks and catch them up on what the state of things are, on Friday, Dustin and I worked on this little web page where you could upload an image and it would call the prediction backend that we deployed, the ResNet 50 image that apparently does not work right now. And this is the local server that I don't have currently running. Wow, everything is currently broken apparently. That's great. So here's the local Python server. So at least we have something here. And so this should be reflected the same kind of, this is live to what's on the Kubernetes cluster as well. And I wonder if this was breaking because I need to refresh it because it was disconnected from the network earlier, or maybe just whatever version I have up on Cloud Run right now. There we go. So it does work. So that was just a post issue. And what I've done is I've extended our original work, which as you can tell only chooses files from the local area. I can now add this image file name, and you can see some of the ones I've been testing around with, and I'm grabbing these directly from our Firestore document store. So all of these are file names that are in that persistent disk from the Open Images dataset, right? So I can copy this and I can drop it into here now. And so this will, explaining how I built this will be a future, probably next week, episode where we'll kind of go through the GKE, Cloud Run to GKE migration path, as well as talk about how I somehow managed to mount the persistent disk into the GKE cluster, which I was pretty happy with. And we have an error. Good. This was working just before, I swear. It's one thing to say it works on my machine, but like this is my machine, so it's like literally. What did I do wrong here? I've been adding some error checking code. It's possible that my own error checking code messed me up. Open no file as directory. No, that was an old error. Because when I was checking to see if it would load like asdf.jpg, and it happily does not. It looks like this file. let's try one of the ones I had before instead of trying a new link. Maybe that particular one is just a bad apple, so to speak. Which one was that before? Okay, so that was 28D. Let's try this one. Do we have the same error? We might. Okay, so that was a one-off. I'll make a note of that. This file is bad for some reason. This, you know, we might remember this bell coat image from a previous episode here, and here's another one. So at this point, what we have in theory is a little web page that takes images from our persistent disk and then uploads them to our AI platform prediction endpoint, gets the prediction, and shows it along with the image as well. What it also does, which you can't tell from this web page, is over on cloud storage, it is also pushing those images into this bucket. So I'm going to click refresh bucket. We've done 2-3 images, one of which didn't work, so I don't know if that would have gotten to that code. So we should be expecting either 2 or 3 images to be in this folder right now, or more apparently, because I did a bunch earlier, I guess. And so these images, what we want is when these images hit this bucket, we want it to trigger a PubSub signal. So to do that, we're going to have to remember how we made triggers. I used to, I worked on a project last year for Cloud Next where I was doing a similar architecture, and we had cloud triggers going all over the place, and it was kind of a mess. Let's see, we want cloud storage. You can tell what I have been recently searching for. Cloud storage, not PubSub. Oh yeah, PubSub trigger. And so that, it's like a, unfortunately, I don't remember if there's a UI method to configure this. Previously when I was doing this, I configured these triggers manually via command line. So let's just, event types, notification format. There's this nice big blue button, go to examples. I'm tempted to click it. We'll see if it leads me down a good path or not. And let's see, we got cloud storage. We do want to make sure we enable that API. May as well click that, make sure that's good to go. Want sufficient permissions on the bucket we wish to monitor. I'm going to assume that I, as the creator of the project, will have permission for that. If you plan on creating topics for receiving notifications, you should have the topics create. Yeah, so this is worth talking about a little bit. What is PubSub, right? PubSub is Google's kind of publisher subscriber messaging queue, and the crux of it is that you can basically say, push a message into this void. Think of it as this, like some random space, and then just forget about it. You don't have to worry about making sure it gets to the final destination. PubSub will take care of everything else. So it's sort of like once you get onto the highway, you'll just get super speeded to your destination. And then on the other side, someone will pick you up. It's like taking a train, you know, you just have to get dropped off at the station, and then someone else will pick you up on the other side. And so we have publishers that are pushing people, I guess, to the train station in this analogy, and then subscribers who are picking people up. And what's important here to remember is that unlike the train analogy, if you publish a message to a topic, so that's like a train line basically, you can have multiple subscribers reading from the same topic. And so you don't have to send 3 messages of the same content to reach 3 end subscribers. One published to the topic and the 3 subscribers will pull it off. So if we want to apply a notification configuration, is what they call it, right? GSUtil notification create. This is the triggering that we want to make, even though it doesn't necessarily use the word trigger in this command or in this text in general. That, I believe, is what we are looking for. It's called a notification configuration. Now let's go over and select the project that we want to use. Register your application for Cloud PubSub API in Google Cloud Platform. Yes, great. Then it says next, to use the API, you'll need the right credentials. Go to credentials. I'm in some kind of a wizard flow. Which API are you using? Different APIs or strict platforms, yada, yada, yada. Are you planning on using this API with App Engine or Compute Engine? Sort of. I mean, GKE will hit Compute Engine and we'll use the credentials from there. So, and it says I don't need any new credentials. great. Done. So that's a no op, I guess. And then we have, let's see, let me move this window just a little bit over. Okay. And then I have a bunch of keys. I think it's okay to have this shown. It doesn't show any of the keys in full, so that's good. All right, I'm gonna close it just to be safe though. All right, so we're gonna need this. Let me open up PubSub over here. So Cloud PubSub lives somewhere. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Who sees the PubSub? We got operations, we got tools, we've got big data. All right, so PubSub is under big data, and that's the little icon for it. Let's go over to topics, and I'm gonna paste that command that we had. So this is to create a topic, which I think we can do from the UI. It's more of the setting up subscribers and publishers that need a little bit more work. There's code samples, and there's a JSON API, but yeah, GSUtil will do for us. Add a configuration notification to your bucket that sends notifications for supported events. And I think we need to create the topic in advance. So you see here it says create topic, and you give it a topic. I bet if I just, oh no, it creates one for you if it doesn't exist, but you can do it in advance. So that's good to know. And then listing notification configurations, probably a useful command to have. You know, we want to make sure we can figure out what we got. So that's an ls command basically. Notifications. And then removing, sure, we'll make a note of this just in case it's useful. All right, and that'll get us started. These notification configurations, they get shot out into PubSub, and then what, right? It's in this void. So we want a place to be able to pick this up and kind of be able to play around with it and really see it. And I copy pasted some code from that previous project I mentioned, but you know, we'll have to edit it and try to re-understand what it was I was trying to say back then to make good use of it. Let's see, this is the bucket that we want. We got a open images -v6. On Monday I typed open images without the -v6 part, and that was not a good time, so lesson learned. And over here in PubSub we have a cloud builds topic that was created for us. I'm assuming from cloud build. So I'm going to create a topic. I'm not going to call it cloud build so I don't screw myself over. Let's see. What should we call this topic? This is new images coming into Google Cloud, image uploads. What we want to do is we want to have it trigger and push into. So this is like a new image getting dropped into. So let's call it new open image. I just call it new image. Keep it short. Let me copy that, create topic, and so we're going to put this in here as the topic name. So this should allow us to create a notification that goes into this topic when the time comes. So let me go to my terminal. How about, this is the local Python server. I don't need that anymore for the time being anyway. And if I run gsutil notification create, and with any luck, this will output something that whoops, that is the wrong window. Okay, so created notification this. So what's important to note here is that this is the full notification name. Okay, so I'm gonna make a note of that because we're gonna need that later if I recall correctly. It's a little bit weird to me that projects is an underscore, but we'll let that be. Let's go back over to Chrome, and we can see here under this topic, we can actually make new messages and view existing messages. This was not around when I was messing around with PubSub last year. And so that's real nice. That is real nice because I can publish a message now, and I can say the message you want to publish, either message or attribute we're required to publish. Sure, we can add an attribute. Let's say test foo, and we can publish it. And then here we can view messages, select the PubSub subscription. To view messages, create or select a pull subscription. So we need to create a subscription. This is one of the pieces of the flow. Let me get this ls working first though. So we want to make sure that this is working for us. Okay. So we're expecting to see this topic. Interesting. So there's this, and then there's this, right? And they're different. This is the definition of the topic, and this is the notification config, I guess. Yeah. And I'm not going to worry about removing for now. I'm going to leave these in here, these like placeholder names, so I don't accidentally copy that command and run it. Let's go back over to Chrome and make this subscription. So we can create a subscription. There's an export to BigQuery button. Now, isn't that something? That sounds awfully like exactly what we want. I'm tempted to click it, but I don't really know what's going to happen. So, you know, what could go wrong, right? Famous last words. And we can create multiple subscribers, so we could potentially create a simple subscription off to the side, and we can kind of like fetch it manually. So this is a nice little UI thing, I guess. There's a little tutorial here that we can read through that explains Cloud PubSub, pushing it to BigQuery. Granny Grace asks, is PubSub using Matt? I'm not sure what Matt is referring to. That looks like a person's name. You'll have to clarify if PubSub is using. Is PubSub? It's so it's short for publisher / subscriber. Oh, MQTT. I don't think so. No, this is using. Yeah, Gabe, take it away. I'll keep working on this, and I'll come back and look at the live stream. All right. PS to BQ, PubSub to BQ. I'm not going to call it, actually, it's not the worst name, PubSub. I'm just going to expand this a little because PS isn't what I think of when I think of PubSub. Regional endpoint. Choose a region. If you specify a GCP zone for your workers using the zone parameter, this zone does not need to be in the selected region. So I'm inclined to pick a zone that matches the bucket that I'm in. So this bucket is in US West 1. It's worth pointing out, and this is a mistake on my part, that my persistent disk and Kubernetes cluster is in US East 1. So I guess I'll put BigQuery somewhere, but more importantly, I'll stick this regional endpoint on US Central 1. Split the difference, you know. Regional endpoint to store job metadata. Because when I upload, it'll go to West, right? So it'll go from the persistent disk to US West 1, where the cloud storage bucket is, and then it'll trigger. And so we would want this to be West as well then, US West 1, just like where the cloud storage folder is. And BigQuery will probably live there as well, if I'm going to guess. We're going to pick this template. This is the template we want, PubSub to BigQuery. And we have a few required parameters like the topic and an output table. So we're going to jump away from this and come back once we create the BigQuery table that we want this to sit in. And the table schema must match the input JSON objects. And this is where it might get dicey, right? What is the correct JSON, the table schema, right? What is the structure of this output when something drops into a folder? So that is worth thinking about. And we need a temporary location for writing files and a bunch of other optional parameters, a couple of JavaScript user-defined functions or UDFs, maximum number of workers, the compute zone for launching worker instances to run your pipeline, service account, machine type, network, subnetwork. Okay, so these seem fine the way they are. Let's go over to BigQuery then. We'll work on getting our table set up. So BigQuery now lives inside of GCP's UI, which is great. And I see Gabe has covered the PubSub MQTT type thing. Yeah, conceptually similar, and but not technically the same. So here's our CloudML demo. You can see I have some other things in here. Let's create a new data set. Yes, create data set. That's this button here. And we're going to make this data set open images I'm just going to call it open only numbers. Oh, underscores. This is, some things can only be dashes, no underscores. Some things are only underscores, no dashes. We're going to leave a default table expiration. Let's just leave it on never for now. And we're going to create this data set. So we can go to data set. Keep in mind, data sets are just wrappers for a collection of tables. And so there's nothing in here. And so we're going to need to create a table within here. So we can click add data, and there's a create connection. I wonder what that does. To create, you must first enable the big, okay, that's not what we're trying to do. Somewhere in this UI, if anybody can spot it, is create a new table. Plus, create table, yes. Create from empty table. Ooh, we can create from cloud storage. Oh no, we don't. It's not like a file in cloud storage we want. It's just an empty table. And we want the data set name to be this. It can be a table. We're going to call it, let's call it live images, right? So these are new images. And again, the underscores thing. These are going to be new images that are coming in. Wow, making that bigger really made this huge. Okay, I'm going to try to leave it at this just for ease of viewing, but we might have to temporarily make it smaller sometimes. And we need to make a schema. So this is where things are going to get dicey. What is the schema that we're supposed to use? So let's try uploading an image to cloud storage, to our bucket here, and use the, we're not looking for the storage browser. We want to look at this bucket, and we can upload a new image pretty easily by going to our little website, and we can choose another file. I'm just going to scroll, right click, copy. Hopefully this one doesn't glitch out on us. I think what might be going wrong is maybe it was values that weren't in the same shard. I don't know. I have to continue looking into that. Nope, I don't want to upload a file. I want to just push that image over. It's a pier apparently. Looks more like Central Park to me, but opinions differ. And that should yield this image. I'm going to push this over here, put the Firestore folder over here. And what we're looking for is this file. This should be in here. Oh, I have to click refresh. And now it's here. And so that should have triggered a new topic to be created. And I can't view messages until I create another subscription. So I'm going to do that. Create a simple subscription. We're going to call this test sub. And it's going to be a pull subscription. Sure, we can expire this one. And we'll leave these defaults. And we'll say go. So now we've made this subscription, right? And a subscription is simply a way to kind of define, it's like saying, this is one instance of something I'll pull off of the topic. And so you'll notice there's topics and subscriptions. So when I drop into this view, it's like, wait, where did that previous view go? It's back up there. So if I click into this, you can't see anything, but you can see view messages. And I wonder if, because I pushed a new message into the queue, in theory at least, earlier, before I created the subscription, it's not going to pick anything up, right? So it's like I sent this message along this train, but there's no one waiting on the other end. So I think we're going to need to do it again. So it's time to draw another image, copy. And it's also worth pointing out that when I kind of do this process, it's also calling that same code that we were using before, which caused the message to get acknowledged. So if you rewind a little, you'll notice that this value was 0 previously, and now it's 1 because I have kind of uploaded that image. So we're counting that. So if we refresh again, we'll see that this exists. I'm going to keep this in my copy, paste, whatever bin. When I view messages, if I'm lucky enough, maybe it'll be here. Oh my gosh, it's here. Okay, that's awesome. Subscriptions aren't historic. So any messages sent to the topic before the subscription is made will not be picked up. Exactly. So here is our structure, our message body. You'll notice that our file name is there. There are a number of attributes here. It says attribute keys are things like bucket ID, event time, event type, notification config, object generation, object ID, as well as payload format. What's interesting is the message body is not all of these. So I'm trying to figure out right now what to put into the BigQuery table definition here of like what should this schema be. And it's possible that the guide that I was looking at, which I can't seem to find, yes, Streamlit templates. So what should this table structure be, right? So this is PubSub topic to BigQuery, and we have a table spec, and it basically leaves us on our own in terms of okay, so for example, messages formatted as K1, V1, K2, V2 may be inserted into a BigQuery table with two columns named K1 and K2 with string data type. So it's just going to blindly push it in. Okay, so you would think that, given how standard some of these messages are, they would be able to make it itself. Does BigQuery have some way of just like doing whatever the first one is? Because I think this is right, just don't necessarily want all of these tables, and I also want this to be better formatted. So let's go to a JSON formatter so I can grab the process all the keys more easily. Very nice. Whoop. Yeah. Ooh, it's giant. Okay, so these are all our keys. And what we can actually do, if we want just a quick list of them, I'm just going to drop into the Python interpreter and say a equals this, and then a.keys. So basically I made a dictionary, so now I have a list of these. But before I say that I did something useful, let me see what format BigQuery actually wants this as, because it's going to be a lot for nothing if you can't actually use it. So for example, kind, string. So if we go to edit as text, what does that look like? Okay, so it's like that. Let's add another one, say ID, and that's going to be a string as well. That's going to be, it's commas and colons. I hope I can put a new line after them, maybe. Or is it ID kind self link? If I go to edit as text, okay, so I'm going to assume I can put commas after them. So I just need a list, and then I can edit it in Sublime. Gosh, a list with enters would sure be nice. Let me see if I can remember. Okay, what I can do is copy this. I could always pretty print and stuff, but this might be faster. I might end up eating my words. Paste, and then we're going to use sed to replace commas with new lines. That did not work. It's not quite right. New line might need double, and then do it for the whole line. Okay, that actually typed. It's probably then who's really good at is it back R back N? Hey, there it is. Okay, close enough. What I bet it is then. There's no carriage return. Okay, good. And then we're gonna need just fix that real quick, and then we want to append colons. Is that what it was? Yeah, colons, and then all caps string. So we want I guess I could have let's do this now, because my visual mode Vim is really bad. I'm not good at that piece, so I will use Sublime to the rescue, make this tall. And apparently there were not new lines between these, so that's good to see. We'll finish up by editing in Sublime. Let's go here, command right to go to the end of the line, colon, string, And then we'll go, well, let's see if we want strings for all of these first. Go to, yeah, still in here. We want to go quit Vim. Don't need to save that file. Let's take a look at this actual object in the browser in our little JSON formatter. We had strings. These all look like strings. Meta generation should be a number. These can be time zones. Size can be a number. Okay, let's see what the support then of BigQuery is. Like what the exact syntax is. It int, number, something like that. Let's say there's ints, there's floats, there's dates, there's times, there's date times. Integer is written out. Okay, and that's like this. Great. All right. We can work with that. Let's see here. Kind, ID, self-link, name, bucket, generation, meta generation, integer, content type, time created. Let's call that a date time. I hope I don't end up regretting making this schema be typed rather than just leaving them as strings and then converting it manually when I want to read these, because yeah, that would be annoying to say the least. I don't think integer will be a problem. We shouldn't go over floating point 32, whatever, you know, the 32-bit integer limit, and the rest can be strings. Okay, so now all we need to do is turn this into a proper schema thing, which we might be able to get away with just doing this. I don't know if I have to close up all the new lines. Let's see what it thinks. Expected name pair found, but found kind. Oh, it doesn't want the quotes. And here I was busy putting quotes in. All right. I know I promised we wouldn't have to go back to them, but it looks like we will. Insert, paste. Then we're going to replace all of the quotes with nothing to the end of the line. And we're going to do that for the whole thing, which I believe is percent. Or no, percent is beforehand. Hey, got lucky. Ooh, that was some deeply embedded knowledge. Long time since I've done something like that. Let's go back to Chrome now and paste that sucker in. All right, name type pair found, but found string kind ID. Does it want commas? It does. Commas? Okay, so it's just commas at the end. That's doable. Comma. And was there a comma at the end? No, there's no comma, no trailing comma. Paste that in, and bazinga, we got it. No partitioning and clustering. Yeah, everything else. I'm going to assume we don't need anything too advanced here. Let's create this table. Fingers crossed that this table will work. We went through an awful lot of trouble to get this schema right, which in a lot of ways I feel like this use case is common enough. We should just publish a copy of this, literally this text, in the documentation and just say, here, if you're going to trigger on GCS through PubSub in this data flow template, use this. BigQuery output table, project, dataset, table name. Okay, project, dataset, table name. We need the fully qualified table name. So we have our open images data set. If I can scroll down, it'd be great. Live images is our little empty table. We go over the details and we have our fully qualified table name here. And so we're going to drop that in here. And then temporary location, can we leave that blank? Oh, I didn't click. I really, I have mixed feelings about whether I should leave this blank or not. I have plenty of random places you can throw stuff. Let's throw it in. Adventures, yeah, sure. It's a blank bucket anyway. and it's in the right region. It's in East 1. So we'll throw it in here. Has to be this format. And what? You have to have a path? It has to be temp? Fine. Fine. Be that way. All right. PubSub to BQ. Let's do it. Run this job. Whew. You know, I know I said that doing it this way would be the easier way. I think it still is easier than if we had written a data flow job ourselves, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily feel that way. All right, so in theory, this is up, in theory. We have our little enable Ack Messages. What does that do? I want to be able to Ack, and then click Ack next to the message to permanently prevent message delivery to other subscribers. Only a few messages will be pulled at a time. Is there a button to click Ack? Oh, I can click Ack. That's fun. All right, let's pull another image down, see if it triggers in data store. I'm just going to go to the next one, copy, and you can see this one visited is 0. It's going to go over to our little helper thing, .jpg. We're going to submit. I don't know what image is going to come back. It's going to be something. It's a reel, a reeling fish reel. I don't think that's the reel they're talking about. We can confirm that once we go to the right bucket, we open images v6. We can confirm that this image exists once I click refresh. Oh, it disagrees. Weird. Did something go wrong? Let's go back to kubectl. No, it figures it's just the... I mean, I don't know that this is actually... This is probably the old error. Let me try restreaming the logs. Looks like we lost the connection. It's weird it didn't show up. Oh, we're not in the right folder. That's why. We had to go to train and in here. Great. So it's in here. We see that it has been marked as visited once in data flow or in Firestore. We're going to pull our message. We should see that there's a message here. And remember, what's happened now is there are two, and this is the correct message. It's reflected in the image. And remember, there's two kind of subscribers here, right? We go to our topics and we go to our new image. We should be able to see there are two subscribers attached to it, both of these. And this is the BigQuery subscription, for better or worse. And so here in our tables, let's go to preview, and it's going to think for a second, and maybe it'll have something. Or data flow fell over on us. So this is all saying it's running. We might be able to see something about kind of number of elements processed or something like that. It says elapsed time, current CPUs. It says current persistent disk is massive, which is a little bit concerning. I don't know why it'd be so large. Pipeline options, max time. Back to old job page. There's an old job page. Worker logs, error reporting. This is just, I really got to make this wider, don't I? Is there a way to, I can't make this, it looks like I can move this bar, but I don't seem to be able to. Okay, this is gonna be one of those times where I temporarily make things smaller so we can see anything at all. These are worker configurations, bytes written. That looks promising. There's some bytes written here. It doesn't really tell us where it was written to, but ooh, write failed records. That's not a good sign. Let's see, a newer SDK is available. Not too worried about that. Let's go back to this, and there's a trick to yes, the query table button. Select star. Can't go wrong with the good old select star, right? 0 bytes processed. All right, so it definitely did not work. Anybody who has some data flow awareness, happy to receive some help on this front. I wonder if it might be because it's in the wrong folder. I doubt it, because we saw it come through PubSub. Okay, so if we think through this order of events, we got our file name from here, pushed it onto the website, the file dropped into cloud storage. Cloud storage then shot a published message, whatnot. I wonder if you can still view old messages. Replay messages. That'd be a bit of a hack. Purge messages. Okay, and we saw that the message came through in our test subscription, right? We saw view messages that are that one that we hadn't acknowledged yet. This one we're fairly confident came through, and then it's supposed to hit our PubSub job, but it seems like it never did. So our other option would be to write some PubSub SDK code, some API integration code into our Kubernetes cluster, and have that basically be listening for it while it's up and running anyway, as just kind of on a separate process. Let me try pushing another image over just in case, that in case it was due to the data flow job taking a moment to kind of get going. I know it can take some time to get everything spun up. So we're going to fire off this file. I've managed to break our server again, so that's great. It's unclear why once in a while the B64 encode fails silently, and then it seems like it'll make a request to the where is it failing on? I thought it might be because when it makes the request, it doesn't have the image ready, but that doesn't seem to be the problem this time. That's what I was running into before. What if I just try again? Wow, if you try again, it might work. Ignore the predictions. They're clearly all over the place. We can see that this is marked as visited. That's good. We can see that if we refresh the bucket, that the file is there. Paste that new one in, and we should see now two messages, a second one here at a few minutes later, 3:47, that matches the values that we're expecting. I'm going to act the previous one since that one we don't need anymore. Hopefully something happened here. Is there a way to see? Reading PubSub topic. Unbounded source. Oh, that's promising. Can we see the source? Elements added. Yes, elements added. 4. So it says there are some elements that were added. Write successful error records. Yes, that would be great. Elements added 4. And then elements added 4. Wrap insertion errors. So it looks like there's some insert errors. If I had to guess, it would be because that optimization I did, silly me, for changing these types to something other than string is what is killing us here. So let me try replacing these with strings, right? Are these all strings now? All right, so if you see anything that's not a string, please say something. And then I'm gonna make a new job with that. Yes. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna create a new topic. Oh, not a new topic, sorry. We're gonna go to image, and create a subscription, export to BigQuery, and then we're gonna say this is v2 PubSub. Regional endpoint, we're still going to keep that US West 1. It's going to be cloud PubSub topic to BigQuery. Same topic, same table. What do I have in my paste string? Oh, it's the table parameters. Oh, we need to change the table schema. That's the problem, not the PubSub. Sorry, not a new subscriber. A new table is what we need. Well, we already called it live images. Can we change the schema in BigQuery? BigQuery change schema. Can we do it? Manually changing table schemas, modifying table schemas. Are you able to edit the schema of a BigQuery table? Option 1, exporting your data, loading it into new table, changing a column's data type, using a query, exporting your data, loading it into new table. All right, we can do it using a query, it suggests. Provided schema does not match. Option 1, using a query preserves your original data. Okay, so where is that query? Changing a column's data type. Using a query. Select all data, cast it, use the query routes to overwrite the table. You know, I could really use the query. That would be great. Cast. Ooh. This is really, yes, cast. Select blah, 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 blah as string. Enter the following query to select all data from column 2 and 3 and cast column 1 from date to string. The query uses an alias to cast column. In the query settings, in the destination, select the destination. Enter. So the query destination will be itself, because it's a blank table right now. So and then you can overwrite the table and that will cause the schema to change, but there's no data in there, so what's going to happen? What other options do I have? Can I just delete the table? I think I should just delete the table. Live images, but how? Because right clicking does not give me delete table. Okay. Should I edit schema? Oh, there's an edit schema button and I can't change the type. I'd hardly call that. We can only put new fields in. Can I delete some fields? I'll put them back in as I mean, they're all nullable, but I have to call them the same thing otherwise. And all I can do if these are checked off is to edit the policy tags. This is not the schema editing I was hoping for. And I can only add new fields. All right, this table's got to go. Type this below. Live images. All right. New table. Live images. We're going to edit as text. We're going to paste this over. And we're going to not have any errors this time. All right. And we're going to create the table. It's created. We go to the table. We look at the schema. It is all strings. That is what we want to see. So now, maybe it'll work. Maybe. All right, I'm going to cancel that creation. I'm going to go back to, let's see. We don't want to be in PubSub right now. We want to be in, not Dataflow. We want to be in PubSub. We're going to go to our test subscription. We're going to look at our messages. We're going to get rid of that previous message. Ack that. Oh, I have a bunch of messages. That's weird. Object finalize, object delete. I don't remember deleting anything. That part's weird. All right, well, be that as it may. Let me do our usual workflow. Let's grab the next image in line here, copy. I know I could just upload images manually, but this is so much more interesting. And we get to see what kind of crazy image I've got going on here. So we're gonna fire that off. I don't know what a stole is. I believe it might be a kind of fish or something. So that's awkward. So here is our image. We should expect a fourth message, I guess. We should get rid of some of these other ones. Come on. Yeah, fourth message. Great. It's this bottom one here. We're gonna ack the other ones here. Apparently I can't anymore. Well, they're all deadline exceeded, so why can't I ack that one? Gotta click faster, I guess. anyhow, we have our value, and stole is like a ferret, isn't it? Perhaps. I'm telling you, it was not the best model in the world. Perhaps it's just the generic kind of existing research model. Our elements added has bumped up to 5. Oh, it's still under failed records though. That's not good. Successfully written records says 5. Wrap insertion errors. I don't know what's in here. That's the main problem. This is the downside of using a pre-written thing. Oh, a stole is a scarf. Okay, that doesn't feel nearly as bad. They are wearing a big old scarf here, so I'll take it. Let's go over BigQuery. Do we have anything in this table? I don't think we do, and I don't know that we're gonna. We're gonna be able to get this done in the time here. So I think the reality is that not for the first time, and I'm sure not for the last time, data flow has caused our downfall. But what we can do instead is have our Flask app have a long-running kind of process. Okay, so this is what I've been sketching out. Instead of having cloud storage trigger on a PubSub, let's just push it straight into BigQuery. May as well, right? We have all the metadata. We have access to that persistent disk with those CSVs. So that's what we'll do next time. Let's push it straight into BigQuery with the BigQuery API rather than doing it kind of in a roundabout way. The only downside to this is we would end up structuring it so that it ends up hitting. We're going to go to Firestore, grab the information and write to it. We're going to upload the GCS, and we're going to have to write to BigQuery. So we're potentially putting ourselves in a position where things will bottleneck on our Kubernetes cluster, which generally you don't want to be bottlenecking in general. But if I'm going to bottleneck somewhere, having it be a scalable Kubernetes cluster is probably a decent place for it to be. And so before we wrap it up, I wanted to point out, I just saw this the other day, or today actually. So Pluralsight is free for the month of April, also FYI, but more importantly, they pushed out this technology index, which I thought was interesting. So they kind of listed out whatever, I'm not really sure how they measured it, right? They kind of based it on people's usage of their course materials, I would assume. And they listed out kind of some top technologies for different pieces of IT. So you have software development, and we see things like JavaScript and Python and Java and C++, HTML, as well as kind of some of these trends, at least over the last 3 months, which, is kind of interesting stuff. I know my HTML is less than great, but, and then we have IT ops. Interesting to see Mac outrunning Ubuntu. Didn't expect to see that for ops, right? Though it is going down, but yeah, some courses on it about installation stuff versus Ubuntu, which it claims is going up. And then data professional, which seems to be a bit of a hodgepodge. You have languages, databases, analytics tools. I don't know what you want to call MATLAB. I mean, it's a language, it's a program, and then Google Analytics, which is just a front-end dashboard, and then TensorFlow, a deep learning library. So it's all over the map on that one. So I'm not sure how meaningful this particular grouping is. Security professional, I'll leave it to the security professionals to tell us if this is any use, because the only thing I recognize on here is Cloudflare and Linux, but I don't know what Kali Linux is, just Linux. And that's it. So it's pretty brief, but I just thought it was a neat little look. Always cool to see kind of where different, I don't know what you want to call this, internet entities think of kind of technology usage, right? There's the famous Stack Overflow surveys, and the, I know Kaggle does a data science kind of roundup each year. So yeah, and with that, we'll wrap it up here for today. And I know we didn't get PubSub to work. That formula has unfortunately failed us getting data flow to go through. But I mean, this is the realities of writing software, right? You design the system one way, you try to make it work, and it doesn't always kind of turn out. So we'll be back on Friday with Felipe Hoffa again. He is coming back, and we're really excited to have him. He's going to be talking about, by popular demand, Data Studio. Data Studio and how we can use it with BigQuery. Last time he was on, we went through kind of a word cloud creation, and we basically glossed over the final point of, hey, how do we actually take all of this data that we've split up and made into word cloud, and how do we do that in Data Studio itself? So we'll dive into that, as well as some other of Felipe's famous data visualizations, and kind of explore that area. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited for it. So that'll be on Friday this week at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So with that, I'll wrap it up, and I will see you on Friday.